What is going on, Sabres fans? Welcome to another episode of Sabres Spotlight with your host, Matt and Ryan. Ryan, what's going on?
What's going on, my buddy? Dude, I'm eating a Reese cup right now. Oh man, the goat, as we discussed on a previous episode. What's up, dude?
I had two Reese cups last night, and they were so good because I had this so we had Christmas last week, and I had this solid 3 or 4 days where I forgot I got any candy or junk food for
Yeah,
Christmas. It was just sitting in my pantry, and then I remembered randomly a couple nights ago, and I've just been dominating it ever since.
yeah. It's the health kick right now from last episode to try to eat better. That's on hold until we eat all the candy.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the Reese cups were so good, so good. Do you ever
Oh,
put your Reese cups in the freezer?
yeah. I'll put them in the freezer like immediately. Like
Oh
that's the
really?
only way
Okay, so
that's the only way to eat them.
I do that with my Kit Kats, and Kit Kats is one of my top candies as well. And I'm a little actually ashamed of myself that I forgot to put that in my top five for the Halloween
Yeah.
episode. But either way, I always do that. And I told Katie last night she wanted a Reese too. I'm like, oh, you want to put in the freezer for a little bit? And she thought that was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, wait,
Okay. So you did it? Did you do it for her? Did she have a frozen Reese?
no, I just do what she tells me. So
No. Probably smart, but dude, you would change her life would be changed if she had a frozen Reese. Like, come on,
that is true. That is true. Next time I'll sneak attack her with it. Maybe I don't know.
that's funny.
All right. So anything new? Anything else going on? What's going on as far as intros go?
I mean, just recovering from the holiday season. Like, you know, I'm tired physically because I'm back at work now. So it's like, and it snowed today up in Buffalo. So
Yeah.
just a long ass day of being outside. So just back to work. It was nice when I was on vacation for that little while.
Did you do anything for New Year's? I don't even know if you guys did anything.
No, we didn't. We just stayed home. We actually made a shitload of snacks.
Yeah.
Just air fried a bunch of stuff, and Lexi fell asleep by 11 o'clock. So it was just me, just up for the ball drop.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I know we have our group chat, but I didn't even look in the because I fell asleep by 10:30, and same thing with
Yeah,
Katie. Like when the kids went down, I went down, and I didn't even check in the morning. I only got a text from a few people, anyways. But
yeah,
I think yours were also in the morning too. But
yeah. I was out at probably no joke 12:02. I was out cold.
so so it's funny because I was planning on saying I remember I texted you guys in the chat. I was loving it. I'm like, dude, New Year's Eve
Yeah,
slaps. I'm
yeah,
like, I'm so fun.
what a weird thing to say. Lexi was like, "What does he mean by this?" You go, you go. Guys, I don't know what it is about New Year's. It's just so sick. Like, what is sick about New Year's?
I forget what I said. I think I said it's underrated, or maybe I just said it's so sick. But dude, I don't know. It's just something about the New Year and just being excited about the New Year and New Year's resolutions and what's gonna change in the new year, all that stuff. It's just excites me so much. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, it's just another year closer to dying.
Oh my god! So when I texted that to you guys, when I texted you guys that New Year's Eve is so sick, it's because I found this this absolutely fire playlist on Apple Music, and it was just bumping the beats in the house, and
Yeah.
I was just
See, when you
my
yeah. Okay.
my juices were flowing, and I was just ready to go. Also, have you ever seen the movie New Year's Eve?
No, what is that?
I think it's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. It's one of them. It's one of those movies the Valentine's Day movie that has 30 fucking people in it. I
Yes.
think Taylor Swift's in it.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like that, but for New Year's Eve, and it's just it's a great. I wasn't even watching it that night, but even the thought of watching it got me so excited because this movie is so good. So I was dancing with the music. I was thinking about this movie that I wasn't even watching, and it was just
No wonder
it
you
was
were out by
awesome.
10:30. No wonder you're out by 10:30 because you exhausted all your energy.
Well, and you know me, as soon as I hit the pillow, I am done. I am
Oh,
done for.
dude,
So
you have set the record for amount of times falling asleep in front of a friend because it is every single time we come over.
it is every single time. So it was a joke when I was in high school, when my high school buddies would come over and and we still talk about it to this day, Dakota and everyone is yeah, when we would go to mass for sleepovers, it would literally be a sleepover. We'd go over there to sleep because I'd fall asleep so fucking early.
There's no Mario Kart, after 9 p.m. because you're out cold.
Yeah, I've just always been that way. But
That's so funny.
yeah, so it was kind of funny because on New Year's I fell asleep at 10:30, and Riley, she woke up at 11:55, and I'm laughing because I'm like, it's kind of like she knew like she wanted to watch like the ball drop or anything,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't. I didn't bother with that. I just put her back to bed because if I kept her up, I'm like, it would have reset her and she would have been up till like 1 in the
Oh
morning or
yeah,
something. So,
yeah.
as much as I wanted to, I'm like, no, we're just going right back to bed, Riley. So that's
That's
what we
funny.
did. But
I've seen a lot of people have like do like a ball like a fake ball drop around like 9, 10 o'clock for the
oh, that's
kids.
kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe next year you can do that for the little ones because that is kind of like just to get them to like experience that kind of thing without it actually being like friggin' midnight.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Oh, and real quick, before we get into shout outs, here's a little pop trivia quiz for all the listeners out there. We talked about this in our group chat when I was on my New Year's Eve kick. I just randomly looked up how many lights are in the New York City New Year's ball. And so if you have a guess, let us know. DM us on Twitter or just shoot us a message on Twitter and let us know your guess without looking it up because we had some funny ones in our
I
chat.
mean, I
Oh
guess
my
the
god.
dumbest answers possible. I mean, it was ridiculous.
But I'm interested to see what people think. But anyways, any shout outs here before we get into the results of the games here, the last two.
I got nothing. I'm ready to talk hockey. This podcast is so funny because I'm like, man, fuck this team. Like, I'm so over it. I don't want to like deal with it. And then we get here, and I'm like, all right, let's talk about some Sabres hockey, and it gets me a little excited.
I got two shout outs real quick because I always have a couple. Number one shout out here is to A Hole Bleach. And as weird as
That's a
that sounds,
fucking username. What a username! I love that username.
so A Hole Bleach is in my fantasy hockey league, and he got me my first L on the season. I've officially lost. So this was actually a couple weeks ago. I've just been forgetting to mention him, but I'm now 10-1-2 on the season. So I got two ties,
Unreal.
but A Hole Bleach he got me. But it was kind of rigged because during the Christmas week there wasn't as many games because of the holidays and whatnot. So I mean he got away with one, but he was lucky. And then I got to shout out Katie real quick, my wife, because her first day at work was actually today. She's been off for the last 6 months on maternity leave, and I got to shout her out. Just like she's had the kids a lot, and I know it's not easy. Just kind of dealing with the kids like all day, every day, the stimulation and whatnot. And I know she wasn't like super happy to get back to work. I mean, she loves her job, but she was just sad to kind of leave the kids and all that. So I got to shout her out and all her hard work from the past 6 months and keeping us all afloat. So.
Oh, that's so sweet. You got so lucky with Katie. Jesus Christ.
All right, let's get into the games here. So it's been an interesting one. I know when we were on here last week, you predicted you were still being optimistic. You predicted 2 wins, and I went with the 1-1, just keeping with the similar trend, and that's what we got. Not tooting my own horn here, but just saying that it's been much of the same here over the last week. But what do you think of at least the first game here against the Columbus Blue Jackets?
I mean, we were playing super well through the game. Like, we just get scored on early. Like, what is up with us getting scored on early? Like, every single game, dude.
Well, and this one wasn't even that early, but it was still they give it up. I've been telling you the last minutes of these periods, it's just like these like effort lapses or these brain lapses these guys have where they're just kind of checking into the locker room already. But yeah,
Like,
13 seconds was kind of a buzz. Wow, 13 seconds. I don't want to say that, but we get scored on with 13 seconds left in the first. After we kind of dominated that first period for the most part.
like I wonder how many like games out of the 39 ish, 41. I don't even know how many we played so far that we have scored first. Like, it's got to be like a handful. It feels like.
Yeah, it's definitely not many. I would guess. I mean, it's definitely less than 10. I would guess maybe somewhere in like the seven to eight range.
That's
We can
crazy.
look that up for next one. But anyways, I mean, Quinn gets his third goal this season, and then you get Middlestad's 10th of the season. Skinner gets the overtime winner. I mean, not too much in this game other than you said it was a good effort. They kind of fought back at least in the third, and they were beat down 2-1, and they get the overtime winner at home. And it was kind of nice to hear I felt like the arena was pretty loud for this game, to be honest.
Yeah. When they play well, they get cheered. When they play like shit, they get booed. Like, that's just how it is. And the fans want to see a good product. I mean,
Yeah,
we've been waiting for, last year we got a taste of it, and now that we got that little taste, I feel like we're just begging for it, man. I feel like as soon as the team wins like 3 games in a row or like 4 games in a row, I feel like we're like people are gonna be like super pumped about it, you know?
Well, is that going to happen this season, or are we just going to wait until next year?
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's never gonna happen. It's like the insanity of only winning 2 games in a row a single time through 40 games is just like it's unthinkable, honestly.
It almost is hard to believe. Like I can't imagine there's another team other than like the teams at the bottom, maybe like San Jose and
Like the
Chicago, and even
Ducks,
they probably have like at least one or two. I mean, I know we have one win too, but that's it. I mean, there's
right?
even those bad teams probably won a couple games in a row. It's just it's really bizarre and frustrating, and I know the players are frustrated with it too. I mean, you don't want to be playing inconsistent, just like we don't want to be watching that. But unfortunately, that's just the reality of it right now. So again, frustrating when they go into Ottawa then and we lose 5-1. And this was a game. I'm not sure about you, but this was on New Year's Eve. I tweeted from the account. I turned it off after the first couple periods because I was just like, you know what, these guys are likely going to ruin so many of my nights in 2024. I'm not letting them ruin my last night of 2023.
Well, I don't get it, man. I really don't. Like, you think that like this is the team you want to go out and like and beat. Just go prove to everyone like, hey, we're in the shitter, but we're not Ottawa, and they come
Yeah.
out and fucking pump us. Like, it's just everything was disgusting. This was Rasmus Dahlin's worst game of the season, and he's had a lot of worst game of the season potential games, but like none of our guys were good. Like Jack Quinn was really good in this game, and that's about it. I mean, I don't understand the power play too. So fucking bad, dude. It's so bad. I don't understand how we're going through this whole season with the same setup, same players, not really switching anything, and it's not working. Like even if you're playing like shit and you bang home like a power play goal or two, that's the momentum you can take from the game and like maybe win. But when you're not even getting any goals with the man advantage, like in any game, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, I mean the power play was 0 for 3 in this game and 0 for 1 in the Columbus game. So another 0 for streak between recordings here, and yeah, there's just it was a game where I mean it's deceiving because you see 46 shots on net, and that's why I have this note in here that like I don't know. I saw so many tweets after that like the Sabres analytics were so much better than Ottawa in this game, and I'm just like, that's another one of those games where like I just don't believe what I'm seeing on that because I just
Yeah.
felt like there was no like really like high like sustained offensive pressure or just like many chances generated, and I just refuse to believe honestly after watching that
And
game and needing to turn it off that it was like this amazing performance from the
like they
Sabres.
got
Like they
a they
struggled.
got a couple of things like skewed the numbers. I know they had 2 chances in the second period. I want to say that were like at the goal line, and it kind of like skewed the XG a little bit. Like, but you're right. Like that game, I don't know what it is about this team this year. Like last year, we all got mad because they were overpassing and trying to get into the slot and get the perfect shot. This year, they're just like shooting from anywhere. Like you're not going to beat an NHL goalie unless your name is Devin Levi from the top of the circle with like a wrist shot or a slap shot. Like you're just not going to beat the goalie unless you have 2 guys, 3 guys in front, like a guy in front of the net at least. And we don't do that. We don't crowd the net. We don't put pucks in the dirty areas or dangerous areas, and we're making other goalies look like they're fucking prime, Patrick Waugh out there because that's all they got to do is stand there and let pucks hit them.
Yeah, the screens are just basically non-existent, and I mean especially I don't know. It's just I can't even say on the power play because it's not like I mean I guess you do screen on the power play, so it's but the power play is just a mess in general. But yeah, I don't know. This was a tough game to watch, and it just felt like they got down those couple goals, and then you just see the body language like, oh, here we go again. And the one thing we haven't mentioned yet, which we'll talk about in a second, was Appert was coaching these 2 games because Don was out with sickness, and I was kind of interested to see what that looked like. And I'm by no means, and I know you as well have similar opinions. Like we're not championing Seth Appert to like become the next head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, but you saw a lot of that on social media. But part of me just wanted to kind of see like, all right, is this just gonna like, can this just invigorate them somewhat? You know, just like having someone new behind the bench and seeing what happens. And it was just like, even that was like, didn't do anything. It was just like a lot of the same, but it just kind of confirmed to me that like, all right, maybe Appert like can be an assistant coach, but like we mentioned on the last show, like they need to get someone in here that's just gonna like sack up and like tell them like, hey boys, this is how we got to play all the time, and if you're not gonna do it, then I'm gonna find someone who will. So
I mean, it's not going to happen. If they didn't fire Granato now, they're not going to until the end of the season at least. So we just got to put up with it and hope that they just turn it around. But I get confused a little bit because I don't know. I don't think it's a lack of effort. You know, I just think they're not good. Like, and that kind of upsets me even more because they don't really contest pucks. We shouted out Megan Shaco like 50 times last week about all her analytics, and she had a chart the other day that was like passes deflected in the defensive zone, and we were in the bottom. Like we don't we don't block passes, we don't block shots, we don't really like win puck battles, and this was a game. Holy fuck! Like Ottawa was kind of everywhere. I mean, they go up 2-0 in the first period. And it's like, well, here we fucking go again. You know, like what?
well,
where?
Ottawa's I don't know if you remember, but the so the slow start is definitely one thing, but then also like their our penalty kill was 0 for 1, and I don't know if you remember that power play for Ottawa, the goal that
Yep,
scored, like I'm pretty sure
yep,
all five or all four of our guys were just standing still and straight up
yeah,
like when that puck went in the
yeah.
net.
The Sabres struggle with this a lot. So the early returns on the PK, which all goalie related, I'm convinced, and the Jake many times this year, the way Jacob Chikrin scored is how we're getting scored on, where the backside D just
Just
kind of
wide
like
open.
floats down to the dot below the dot, and here's Peyton Krebs that side forward, and he's just like in no man's land, like has no idea that he's coming below him to score, and it's like you got to be more aware. You got to know who's around you. Like the players just aren't good enough in their roles like at all, and that's the most upsetting thing to me. Can we
Yeah,
talk
and
about can we talk about Levi?
yeah, we can talk about Levi. Just let me real quick elaborate on, because I know I mentioned this on the last show that I definitely have like seen and kind of felt like the bad body language and sometimes feeling like own power kind of like gives up on the games. And I still think I have seen that. I agree with your overall point though that I don't think it's a lack of effort, and maybe they're just kind of like have regressed this year and weren't quite as good as we thought they were, which is frustrating, or there's just a lack of game planning and unison when it comes to that. I do think it's more that than lack of effort, but I definitely think that there is something to just consistently getting behind in games. And as much as these players say that like they can believe that they can score and come back. Like that was true last year, but there's no way they can believe that this year when you're not scoring. I mean, you've only scored 4 goals like 10 times this year. The Sabres report just tweeted that out earlier today. It's like they're not scoring these clips. Their goals for is like below league average right now. It's just like, so it's like, I don't question necessarily that it's lack of effort aside a couple games this year that I've seen, but I do think it's just so hard in this league to like come back and be constantly be like fighting these uphill battles and putting yourselves in these holes. And the body language has been poor in some of those games, and it's happened a few times. But
Yep, I agree.
all right, what were you gonna say?
This game disgusted me in a goaltending perspective. Like, Levi stopped what 26 of 30 shots. Like, that's okay, I guess. But if you're getting scored on by a guy like Zach McEwen coming down, number one, we just fucking this play. Oh my god, it's like in my brain now that we're gonna talk about it. So we have the puck in our zone, and Samson has it, can't clear. What else is new? Darlene gets it, does his little flip bullshit because he's tired and lazy and wants to get off the ice. They change. Fucking Zach McEwen, fourth liner, doesn't have a goal at all this year. Walks in and rips a 1982 slap shot over Levi's shoulder. Dude, if you're an NHL goalie, you are making that save 100 times out of 100. It is unacceptable for that puck to go in. And I would feel like we're doing this kid a disservice, him being here. He's not ready. He's getting scored on a lot. He's going to have, like, what, maybe, like, one good game out of every 3 or 4, and that's just not good enough for what we needed.
Are you? This is early. This is premature, but I want to get your temperature on it. When it comes to Levi, are you concerned about his size at all?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'm just wondering because I know that's something you hear, and sometimes with those goals, like I know he's good at like coming out of the net, making himself big in angles and things, and he understands how to play goal and he's active in goal. There's a lot to like, but I'm just wondering if, it's like I say, you hear it, and I'm just curious to see what you thought about that as
Yeah,
far
it
as
would be
his.
nice. It'd be nice if he was 6'4", 6'5", but I think he'll be just fine. I don't think he should be here right now.
Yeah, I was just looking up. He's 6 foot, so
Like on the dot,
I
right?
mean, yeah, six
And
six
he
foot,
might. I
yeah.
mean, they lie about that shit all the time, so he might actually be like 5'11".
Oh, that's like when we would enter the Gus Mackers and we would always like, but it was the opposite. We'd always like lie. We'd always say we were all like a couple inches shorter than we were, so we could put on the
Exactly.
shittier courts.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Oh yeah, but then you get there and they check your thing and they're like, oh, you're only 5'6", or you're coming in at 5'9", and I'm like, oh, I must have wrote down the wrong number there.
Upside down. My bad. I have dyslexia.
I'm just trying to see UPL because I know he's bigger. He's 6'5", so he's
Yeah,
he's he's a
he's
bigger
big,
boy.
but he plays small sometimes, or he flops out of the net like a fish.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just
all
his.
right.
If UPL had Levi's mechanics, he'd be one of the best goalies in the league.
Well, I don't think let me look at one other thing real quick here because I want to say that when we had Allmark, like Allmark wasn't a big dude either, right? No, he's
He
6'4". He's decent.
he's
Okay.
pretty big. His problem was like Boston just when he got to Boston, they completely redid his goalie mechanics, and look what happened. It might be a coaching thing too. When we hopefully fingers crossed. I mean, if we don't have this miraculous turnaround, and we do change uh, Granado, I want a complete overhaul of staff, like including the goalie coaches, the video, maybe not the video coaches. They can say they don't do much, but like the assistants and shit. Like, let's get in some fucking new blood.
Hmm.
And Mike Bales hasn't really been impressive. Every goalie we bring in here sucks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what's needed. I mean, if you're,
And I have it on record that the Sabres tried to trade for a certain goalie. The fuck was his name? Out of Toronto. Matt Murray. And
yeah,
he nixed that trade. That was when we were going to move up from 13 or to 7 or whatever from the draft. And
this season.
he's 2 years ago when we
Okay.
drafted Savoy. When we drafted
Okay.
Savoy. So Matt Murray said no to the trade, and he said no because he has a public rift with Mike Bales. And I mean, Matt Murray is like injured constantly and hasn't played, but still, that's like a guy that has a reputation around the league.
There's just so many reasons why guys don't want to come to Buffalo, and that just add that to the fucking list.
Yep,
The
I know.
damn goalie coach, like, come on.
Yep, yep,
All right,
exactly.
all right, here's one last question for you. Before we get into Sabres news, and there's not a ton, and then we can get into some of the resolutions and stuff. I have one other question for you, specifically when it comes to Ottawa, because coming into this season, it was kind of a general consensus around the league, around hockey fans, that like Buffalo's ready for the next step, Ottawa's ready for the next step, Detroit's ready for the next step, right? Detroit's kind of gotten there. I know they're a little bit
Nope,
up and down lately,
dude.
but yeah, dude,
Look at their
but they,
look at their last 13 games.
dude, I know,
They're
but they're
3-10, three
but
and
they're
10, bro.
yeah, but they're floating around. I mean, they're
I
they're
know,
two
I
they're
know.
two
They're in it.
points out of a playoff spot
Like
still.
they can afford to lose games because of how well they started.
Yeah, and I know everyone's having fun with the Patty Kane stuff, but like Patrick Kane's been okay since he's come back.
He's been
Like,
good, man. He's been really. I
yeah,
mean, it's ironic that like he is at point per game and they just keep losing.
yeah, he's got 6 goals and 7 assists right now. So
Yeah, in 13 games, he's playing really
yeah,
well.
yeah. So he's like a -3. So like that is what it is. But anyway, so the original back to my original question though is like, okay, so those 3 teams, everyone's like, oh, let's take the next step. I guess specifically with Ottawa, who's whose team/core do you think is actually better between us?
The three of us.
No, just us in Ottawa. Let's just do us in Ottawa because
Oh,
we're at the bottom right now.
I
Because I
love
think it's
Ottawa too.
pretty close, but you got
I
guys like
love, dude.
Chikrin,
Ottawa's
Sanderson, you
nasty.
got Brady Kachuk. I mean,
Shabbat,
you got Shabbat. Yep. I mean,
Stutzla.
Stutzla, Claude Giroux. You got these players that are like pretty solid, and I'm just like, when we were playing them, I'm like, I don't know, man. Their team's pretty good, and like I like a lot of our team too, but like there's both solid cores. You just think they should both be doing so much better.
Yeah, I mean, signing Corpusalo to that deal kind of fucked them. Like they're not getting really like goaltending, and he's injured, and their backup Forsberg hasn't been very good. And who else? They're gonna get Pinto back in a couple games from the
Shane
bench.
Pinto, yeah, I was trying to remember his name. Yeah, that's Pinto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
gonna get Pinto back.
But
So
he's not
they
signed beyond this year. But they still could.
they
But
will.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
gonna extend him. They're going to.
yeah.
It's just like play out your suspension and then they'll extend him. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean their core is good. It might just because we're so negative on our team, but Ottawa has really fucking struggled. Like every game, he even did it in our game. Brady Kachuk is like snapping in every game so this year. It is. He was
The
like,
wires are crossing.
it's insane. Like every game they're losing, he's trying to fight guys. Every game they're winning. I mean, when they're playing against us, he was trying to like break Dahlin's face, and it's like, dude, you're up fucking 5-1. Can you like relax, dude? Can you fucking relax and just like finish the period? Oh my god. So that's like a little weird. I don't know about that, but the individual players, yeah, they're good. I think they're gonna be good, and they might be better than us.
Yeah, I think it's very close either way. I mean, of course, I'd rather have our guys because we're from here. Obviously, we're a Sabres podcast, but I think they're right there. It's just crazy how, again, there was high hopes for both of those teams, and obviously Ottawa's had some stuff going on in their whole organization that's maybe contributed to that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But an interesting talking point nonetheless. But
So I've got a question for you.
okay.
This was floating around Sabres Twitter today. How many games would the Sabres have to win in a row for you to get back on? Like, obviously, we're gonna watch every game, right? How many wins in a row would it take for you to get like excited and be like, all right, like we can kind of like let's make a run here. Let's try to at least like give the mirage of trying to make the playoffs.
I'd say eight.
8, yeah, they got like 8 in a row. Okay,
Eight
that's a
puts you
lot.
at
That's a
23.
shitload.
Well, that
That's a
puts you at
shitload.
23, 19, and 4. I mean,
Yeah,
and so let's see right now they're at 38 points. So if they get to, let's say if they win if they were to win four more in a row, that puts them at 42. I mean, that's still only a 84-point pace. That's not going to get it done. But
I know.
if you win the the first four out of that next 42, then you get to, again, 23-19. You're 23-19 and 4. So like you're in a decent spot. I mean, yeah, that's probably what it would take. I mean, if they won, say, 4 and got to 19-19 and 4, like, that doesn't excite me. Also, okay, let me ask you this real quick before. So my answer is 8, but this brings up another question
That's
in
a
my mind.
lot. I mean, that's tough, but I mean that just goes to show like how far down we are.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, look at like Edmonton, for example. Edmonton was at the bottom, and they've had a couple big win streaks, but Edmonton's on a win 6 right now. So they were 13-15-1, and now they're 19-15-1, and they're 1 point out of a playoff spot. So
Well,
like they
the
went on
other
a big
team,
run, and they're right there.
the other team I want to talk about with that is Seattle.
Seattle, yep,
Seattle
yep.
was fucking dog shit. Seattle was terrible. I think they're 8-0-2 in their last 10, and they're
Seven
right
one
back
and
in
two.
it. 7-1-2. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
they're right back in. Like, so if we did
Yeah, they're
something
2
like
points
that,
out.
man, if we did something like that, I'd be like, all right, like give me like in the next 10, give me like fuck if I don't know, give me like 7-1-1 the next 10. I'll is that 9 only? Give me 8-1-1 in the next 10, and I'll be like, all right, let's fucking do this. Like, come back after the All-Star break and let's do this shit.
What's crazy about that is, like, as as much as this team has annoyed me, like, I honestly still believe they can do that.
I That's what I'm
Because
saying. Like,
I still think they're, as bad as they've been, I still think they're a good hockey team.
it's because like the individual players are not as bad. Like we've been saying, the individual talent on this team is not as bad as the collective right now.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like
okay, so
Dylan Cousins should not be on pace for fucking less than 50 points. It's insane.
yeah, he's been brutal, and I'm disappointed in him because he picked White Horse by Chris Stapleton as his goal song, which is fucking sweet, and
Yeah,
I
very
got
good.
to. Yeah, but I did get to hear it when I went to the Columbus game. We got shellacked 9-4, but he at least scored in that game, so I heard it. But so my other random question before we move on to the Sabres news is when you this is just totally a random thought of mine, but I'm interested to hear what you say. When you hear a record 15-19-4, so the Sabres are 15-19-4, right? Would you consider us 500 if we were 19-19-4?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, because in my head
In
that's
my head,
that's
it's
that's your
19,
19 and 20.
19.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, come on. Yeah, don't be giving me your bullshit that you're fucking 500 if you have 4 losses more than you have wins.
Yeah, because I'll hear people say that, and I'm like, oh, like if they get 4 more wins to get back to 500, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They'll have
Yeah,
19
no.
wins and 23
Like,
losses.
I get that that overtime hockey is not like the real game and it's 3-on-3 and whatever, but like, no. That's not how it works in my brain. You need more wins than total losses.
If anything, you take those four. In my head, I'd take those 4 points and put them as 2 wins, so we'd just be
Yeah,
19 and 21.
half it exactly.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
still
yeah,
not
yeah.
500. You're still
No,
not
no, no,
500.
yeah. All right, I'm just curious because like to see
That's
what you
funny.
said.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, let's get into the news here. Not much going on. We already talked about Seth Appert coaching the 2 games. I don't really care about that too much. You
Don's
got any
back.
thoughts on
Don's
that?
back. He's healthy. He had the flu.
Yeah, no, I know, but do you have any thoughts about like, oh, him like? 'Cause, I mean, Sabres Twitter right away is like, oh, Appert's the next coach. Like they won that first game, and I'm like, this wasn't even that impressive over a win over Columbus.
I actually do have some thoughts on this.
Wait, okay, before
So
you say that, like, okay, let me just say this real quick because
I'm about to cook. I'm about to cook right now.
I don't think you're gonna say what I'm gonna say, and so that's why I want to tell you first, and then you can just go off because I can tell.
Okay.
But I was dying after the Columbus win. Appert does his interview, and people are like freaking out about the fact that he told them to like apparently his message after the second period was like don't get bored by playing the right style, and people
Yeah.
are like jizzing themselves that he said this, and I'm like, what did he say? I'm like, if I was a player, I'd be like, okay, cool, but it's not like I'm like that wasn't like some revelation. I'm not like, oh, let's like fucking lock this guy in for the next 5 years.
It's not like he's fucking Herb Brooks coaching the 1980 Olympic team, getting him to beat Russia with a speech in the fucking locker room. Like, come on
Yeah,
now, guys.
it was so funny though. But that just shows how desperate we are.
So I got some thoughts. I got some thoughts about the fact that Appert was even here.
Mm.
How how embarrassing for the rest of your coaching staff that Don Renato goes out sick. You know, whatever. Things happen, guys. People get sick. It's the flu, whatever. He's all right. You know, he'll be back. But man, if you're like a Matt Ellis or a Jason Christie or like any of those guys, you got to be like, so I'm not gonna be the interim while he's gone. Like you're gonna bring up the guy from Rochester to like be the head coach. How fucking embarrassing for them that they can't even get the nod for 2 games, man.
Yeah,
This goes to show that at least Kevin is on our page that it's like these guys are just not good enough. And what excuse did they use? Oh, they didn't want to mess up the pre-scout and they're gonna let those guys like work on special teams. Come on, man. Come on.
they've been working on
Clearly,
special teams for the whole year, and it's dog shit.
yeah. So clearly, bro, like I think the organization knows that the staff is not good, but like you really can't do anything about that. Like guys don't get changed in the middle of the season. Oh my god, I, I saw a couple people today on Sabres Twitter be like, oh, fire fire Matt Ellis. First of all, we don't even know if Matt Ellis does the power play. I don't know which coach does the power play because they don't fucking disclose it. So people are like, oh, fire Matt Ellis and bring in Bruce Boudreau. You think Bruce Boudreau wants to come in and be a fucking assistant coach? Why would he do that? He's probably getting paid like $200K to work on NHL Network. Are you guys stupid? He's not coming in unless he's a head coach. Like,
Well, and if he is the assistant coach, he's not getting the head coaching job anyways because Appert is
like,
apparently.
like. Also, if you were to bring in Bruce Boudreau, the next loss, fans would be like, "We gotta fucking gas Don and get Bruce Boudreau behind the bench as head coach." Like, do you guys think before you talk? Come on. Like it's not like we can't we dug our grave. We can't do anything about that now. It doesn't happen.
No, yeah, like I said, honestly, like I don't know if there's going to be any changes made. It's kind of more on the players, just be like, listen, guys, like we gotta start changing some things, and like if you're coaching it this way, it's not working. Like let's try this because this is what I
Well,
know I'm good at.
and I kind of get like there are people that are also like I've seen this opinion lately that it's like all right like you're better than this. Like if you're so like locked in like you have to have like the perfect system, maybe you're just not good enough.
Yeah,
So the players need to like themselves like play themselves like away from this garbage that they've been putting out there.
yeah,
So I
absolutely.
agree. I agree with the staff discourse, and I'm over Don and the whole staff, and I want them gone. But like at some point, the players got to like do it themselves.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a two headed beast there, where it's lack of execution on the ice, but then it's also a lack of game planning for sure.
Yeah.
And so we can get mad at the players all we want, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of these players aren't going anywhere. A lot of our players are. I mean, we only have a handful. We can go. Well, I'm going to go through this actually later on in the show, but we only have like 4 UFAs after the season. So like we're probably going to be bringing a lot of this team back next year with some
Oh yeah,
call ups
definitely.
from Rochester. So like the players aren't going nowhere. So the players got to figure it out, and it's not like the coaches can help. But again, bringing in this whole new staff, as much as like the ideas are better, like the players are still going to have to execute. So you got to start executing better on the ice just as much as you got to start having a better game plan. Apparently, so all right, let's get into the news here. So we talked about Appert already. The couple quick things here, just housekeeping. Conley waived. He cleared probably just because of his cap hit. He's going to be a UFA at the end of this year, so he's probably just going to. I would assume, barring injury, he's going to just kind of ride the year out with the Amerks. I
Yep.
honestly think we'll probably just roll with Levi and UPL. And just a note here, it's just kind of funny, shows where we are. The Sabres, 4 players now playing in Rochester that are making over 6 figures.
It's insane. I mean, good for Rochester that they get Eric Comrie, because like no matter what you think about Eric Comrie in the NHL, he's probably going to be pretty good in the AHL.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for sure.
that
I
team
mean,
just like that team is not getting saves. They might play well, and they will not get saves. I think both their goalies have like an 840 and like an 860 save percentage. So
yeah,
you're not going to win if you have no saves. So Comrie should be pretty good for them, and he's a nice guy. I really think he'll just like embrace it and like let's just ride the year out, and you'll get another shot next year somewhere else. Like good for
yeah,
him. Let's just reset. And I'm sorry that it didn't work, buddy, but you kind of didn't play well.
yeah. It's not like he played great like before coming here too. He had the one good year. He's kind of been mid his whole career. It's
Yeah,
not
he's
like
been up and
he's.
down.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But he'll do good down there, and Roch needs it. They're needing some reinforcements. A little bit of a bummer. Oposo listed week to week with a lower body injury. So I know we've kind of us and a lot of people have been saying that he's got to sit some games, both to just kind of rest, but also to like get some other players in. But honestly, man, he's been
Dude,
scoring.
he's
I
been
mean,
good. He's
yeah,
been really good.
he's got the most goals on our team since
November ish.
Thanksgiving
Yeah.
pretty much. And
Yeah, he's
I
been
mean,
really good. Like good for him. He started off slow, like looking like he was kind of cooked, and he looked really, really good for the last month and a half. So this is kind of like a major loss and another situation where the young guys got to like your captain's done. Like your captain's gone for a couple weeks.
yep.
Show me what we can do without him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely a blow to the Sabres just because they're captains, not on the ice anymore, but also because he was. I mean, he was producing. There's no denying that. So, yeah, we'll see what they do as far as the lineup goes with things. And but good news that they're done with the 3 goalies. I'm happy about that, and hopefully Oposo
Hey,
can get
maybe
back sooner than later.
10 months from now we'll see a Poso he'll have another kid because that's when he fucks his wife is when he's injured. That's what happened last time. That's what happened last time.
If Oposo retires at the end of this season, Do
Yeah,
you think he'd want a break from the league, or do you think he'd come back like on the staff right away?
I think I would
And do you
want
think they'd
him.
want him to?
Yeah, I think I would want him. Like he loves it here. His kids go to school here, and like they're by all like accounts, they like have definitely over the last 7-8 years grown themselves like within the community.
Yeah, I got
So
some
I
roots.
think if he did retire, I would want him to come back like, you know how Craig Anderson is kind of back, like in a role like that. Like come back in a consulting role. Like why
Yeah.
not, dude? Like you're here anyway. You're not. I'm pretty sure that he's gonna live here for the rest of his life. I mean, that's what happens to all the players. They come here, they stay, they get old, and they want to stay because the school system is good. It's a nice place to live because when you're rich, you can afford nice houses around here.
Yeah. No, I think so too. Yeah, I think it just, and I think the Sabres would want that too. It really just come down to whether or not he wants that or he wants to take a little break from the game and whatnot. But
Yeah, he's team
um,
dad, man. He's got to stick around in some capacity.
yeah, for sure, it's like Fitzpatrick in the Bills. He's still hanging around.
Yeah.
All right, so we have planned here for the kind of random thing we'll do. Resolutions for the Sabres, and I'm
Yep.
pretty excited because we're positive with these.
These are
We're
like I
thinking
feel like these
thinking
are
positively.
I feel like these are like positive affirmations.
Yes, exactly. That's pretty much what they are. But we were talking about this before we recorded. We couldn't have just resolutions be like nobody has a negative resolution. Like, oh, this year I'm gonna like gain 60 pounds, like
You're
of
right,
pure
right.
fat, not muscle. All right, so I'm gonna go first, and my New Year's resolution is for Rasmus Dahlin. And Dahlin says in 2024, I am going to remind the Sabres why they gave me $11.5 million per year contract. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I he has to. Like this is the future captain, like by all accounts like should be the future captain. I'm going to send you a chart right now. And I know we don't really understand charts on this podcast, but look at Rasmus Dahlin's goals against replacement for his career. Now mind you, two of those years were Kruger years, and then look at last year. And then look at where he is this year. Like he
Oh
hasn't been
God,
good at all.
I
So he's
wish
gotta he's
I
gotta
could
be good.
read this fucking thing. If you're watching on YouTube, I don't even know
It's
if this
just
is
it's
coming in,
okay,
but
it's goals against replacement. So it's like what he adds on the ice, like as opposed to like your average guy. Like the line in the middle is average, and he's
all
playing
right,
below average.
okay, all right,
But look how
yeah,
good he was last year. It's insane how good he was. I want him to get back to that level.
yeah. He was. I mean, yeah. I'm not even gonna try to interpret that graph. I feel like
I'm
I'm a
definitely the
fairly
interpreter.
intelligent human, but when it comes to trying to read hockey statistics, like analytics hockey graphs, my brain just does not know what to do.
And I love that shit too. Like it's once you kind of like understand what you're looking at, it doesn't get like any like harder to read. But it's just pretty much he needs to get back to playing like that. Like you're playing offense, you're killing plays, you're fucking people up at the blue line. He has that in him. I
Yeah,
I, I definitely think so.
yeah, and I think it's as simple as just just playing free again. Like you can tell he's in his head on the ice and worried about things, and it's like I honestly I I don't think that's because of the contract. Like I don't feel like he's the type of guy that's just feeling like a ton of pressure because I think like he said before he got that big deal, like I believe in my skill set, I believe in my talent, and I think he believes that's his true value. And I think he's right. So I honestly don't think like I think he's worth that contract and it will pay dividends in the long run, but it's not right now obviously, but I'm in full belief that it's not the pressure from the contract that he's feeling, and it's more just maybe not 100% bought into the system or liking the way that they're playing. And I think that'll get hopefully resolved as if it's not this year, definitely next year when changes are made or just it has to happen. So, all right, you want to get into yours? Unless you got anything else on
Yeah,
Darlene, you can get a number two.
no, no. My first Sabres resolution is for Jack Quinn, and in 2024, I, Jack Quinn, will continue my ascension into a phenom in this league. Jack Quinn has come back and instantly been one of our best forwards off of a torn Achilles.
Yeah, it's
This guy
crazy.
looks like we people have been talking all summer, all winter about like what's Jack Quinn gonna look like when he comes back. He's probably not gonna look the best, but man, he's just right out there, just playing like healthy Jack Quinn. It's insane. He is one of the best shot creators on our team. He's playing defense. He's stripping pucks. Like he's setting up guys. Like, dude, I honestly think like this guy is going to be on our top line next year. Like, I think he's going to displace Alex Tuck as our go-to right winger.
Yeah, I mean, so Tuck is signed for next year, but then his contract's up after that, and
Yeah,
it'll be an interesting decision to see what they do with him because he's definitely one of those guys that I could see. I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent in um, 2006, 2007. So he's got this year and next year left on his
yeah.
deal. He's making
We're going back 20 years, huh?
or 2026, 2027. So he's got 2 years left on his deal at 4.75. And yeah, so he'll be an interesting person to see what happens with. But dude, I agree, man. It's kind of crazy to think that he's come back and has looked as good as he has. I think this like the speed is down a little bit. I haven't seen like as much of like the stick handling and like puck possession and things like that. There's not a ton of puck possession in hockey. I know it's more like tape to tape and stuff like that, but I do think the agility, the quickness, and his confidence, like carrying the puck, will come as it goes. He's been opportunistic with his goal scoring for sure. He's kind of been right place, right time, but he's been shooting the puck and he's yeah, I think he's looked pretty damn good. He has not been afraid of contact. So I feel like he's definitely trending in the right direction. And that's one of those things where he's just he finds the net. He's just a goal scorer. And like you need those guys and the Sabres need those guys this year because it's not happening with the shooting regression. And he's just always a guy kind of like Benson, who just he finds himself in the right places at the right times, and he generally makes the most of those opportunities. So
Yeah, he's just around the net all the time. Like it's
yeah,
noticeable. It's
hmm
noticeable him compared to other guys, like how often he puts himself in a good position to score
yeah,
or set another guy.
yeah. He's looking real good. I'm just looking at his contract, so he'll be a restricted free agent at the end of next season. So
Yeah, so we have another year of him.
yeah, him and Paterka are basically on the same deal. They're making the same
Yeah.
thing. So after
Give
next
me your
year,
give me your next one.
dude, my next one is for the man himself, the head honcho, general manager Kevin Adams. And my 2024 New Year's resolution for him, as Kevin Adams, I will be extending Casey Middlestat. And I'm getting it done before the end of the season because I don't want
Okay.
him to
Interesting.
get to free agency. And the quicker I can get this done, the better. I know Casey doesn't want that. And I think Casey's just going to ride into free agency
Well, he's
predictably.
an, he's
But
an RFA.
yeah, he's an RFA. Oh, that's true. That's true. So, okay, so how does that work versus the UFA? Because I know there's obviously, of
So
course, like
UFA, you can talk to like anybody. RFA, you can't talk to. You can like get offer sheeted. Like a team can offer you a contract, but there's compensation related to the contract. Like at the end of the year, some guy will tweet like this this much money is worth like this many picks. Like at the maximum, let's say you sign someone to a $12 million over like uh $12 million per year, then you owe that team 4 first round picks. Or if like you sign like there's like a if you sign like a 6 year deal or a $6 million deal um per year, then you owe that team like a first, a second, and a third. Like there's compensation related to signing RFAs, which is why it never happens.
yeah. So I mean, we have some control there, which is good.
But he could just be like, I'm not fucking signing. Like this is what happened with Sam Reinhart. So Sam Reinhart had a year left. Like Casey will have a year left in the summer, and Reinhart was like, no matter what happens here, I'm not signing. So Kevin was like, well, fuck. Might as well get something for him and sent him off to Florida. So if Casey's like, no matter what, I'm not signing here, he might be a trade candidate.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. So I
Get it done, though. Get it done. I like Casey a lot. Get it done.
yeah, and honestly, I don't care if like I like because I don't need to see like because you see it on Twitter. I don't need to see Sam Reinhart back in a Sabres jersey, especially for an astronomical price because you're going to have to overpay for him. I don't even think he'd
Yeah,
want to come
he's
back anyways.
having his best season ever. He's unbelievable this year.
Yeah, and I believe Middlestat's one of those guys that again, as cliche as it sounds, just kind of likes being in Buffalo, and he's a pick who kind of started off struggling and he's kind of flourished and came into his own here. And there's something to be said for those guys that like kind of come up in an organization and feel like you're getting your payday because of that organization. Like the Sabres believed in him and they got him to where they are today. So I do think that he will sign with us and he feels like I mean, despite the lack of production and progression this season, you do have to see that they are at least trending in the right direction and they have identified a core. So I don't think it's as scary for some of these RFAs to want to extend their contracts here. And like I said, I think Kevin Adams will get it done. And even if you got to throw him like maybe $1 million more than you think like other teams are going to give him, like whatever, I don't really care. Just give him the money he's producing, and he's producing 5-on-5. So
My sweet spot for a contract is 6 years, 30 million. I'm not sure if 5 a year is going to do it, but that's what I would want to sign him for.
okay, we'll see what happens. I don't have a number in mind. I don't speculate when it comes to that stuff because I don't know comparative stuff, whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. But honestly, if he came back, like if he well, I guess it couldn't work like this, but I'm just thinking in like football terms. Like if he tested the market and came back and was like, hey, this team's offering me 4, like, all right, I'll give you 4.5 or 5. Like I would give him, I just give him the higher offer, like whatever.
That probably does happen behind the scenes, like more than we think, especially when it comes to like, RFAs. Because you never hear about RFA signing like ever because of the offer sheet thing. But that probably does happen behind the scenes. But I got one, and this guy.
Dude, I disagree with this so much.
This guy could be candidate for Goofball of the Week every single week so far this year. But in my opinion, Matthias Samuelsson is going to prove himself as a capable defenseman. And what I mean by that is that Don Granato is going to get his head out of his ass and put him on the third pair where he belongs. And he's going to play lower minutes, play some PK, have Eric Johnson, or Connor Clifton, either one, help you out about that. Like, you are struggling. You need someone that's going to play like a safer game. Darlene does not play a safe game. And I get the theory behind, like, oh, Darlene's going to play the risky offensive game and he's going to be backed up by, like, the defensive guy. It ain't working right now. It's not. They just don't gel for some reason. But I believe in Samuelson's individual ability, where that if he plays lower down the lineup, I think he will stabilize a third pair.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't agree with this at first, but you explained your capable defenseman a little bit better, and I'm like if you put Matthias Samuelsson and less time and third pair in the same sentence, I'm all for that. Like I just the less I can see this guy on the ice, the better.
Yeah, he's not a top pair defenseman. He's just not. Like, maybe he will be in a couple years. He's only like 23 years old, right? Like, so he's still young as hell.
Wait a second, you hear that?
What is that?
That's the clock. It's almost time for Samuelsson to get hurt again. It's coming.
Oh my god.
He needs that time off. It's about to fake an upper body injury.
Watch him just like start to play well too, and then get banged up. Oh my god, you're so right. He does. That does happen constantly. Fucking Jesus. But hey, I believe in him. I like the guy. I just give me less time on ice, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, he's just not in the right spot right now. A third pair.
He's like a number one bozo guy right now. He's a fucking bozo out there.
Yeah, our third pair defense, like it's not like Jacob Bryson bad, like it's like he's like even his bad games, it's like he still has value. Like I mean, he's a good shot blocker, and like but I don't know, and like he can hit once in a while, but like we don't. That's as a team we don't really do that. So like there's no value in offensively. He's not a weapon, which a lot of defensemen aren't, But I just think that he gets overmatched sometimes on the first pair there. So I think I definitely don't like him with Darlene, and a third pair role is probably best for him anyways. So. All right, I'll move on to we got 2 more here. My last So my last one here is kind of interesting. It's a bit, I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I love this guy, so I'm going to roll with it anyways. And my last Sabre resolution is for the Carney boy himself, Mr. Zach Benson. In 2024, he's going to start getting some Calder Trophy mentions. And right now, if you look up the Calder odds right now, he's like not even like in the vicinity of anything. It's like Connor Bedard by a landslide, and then it's like Logan
Brock Faber,
Cooley, Brock. Yeah, I think. Let me see here. So it's
Carlson's up there.
Connor Bedard, Logan Cooley, Luke Hughes, Brock Faber, Carlson, but Carlson's hurt right now. And then it's kind of interesting. Joseph Wall ahead of Adam Fantilli. So like
So
he's not
really,
even in the top
if
10.
he can sneak into that top 10, like he can.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like I think that so he's got four goals, he's got 10 assists, he's got 14 points, and I could see he's had a multi-point game here recently, and it seems like he's getting more comfortable, as the season goes on, and he's starting to produce with some points. So I just think like listen, if the Sabres are going to go on that big run, we're not projecting that here, but they certainly have the capability to do so. He's going to be playing, and he's getting time. He's getting time on a third line that's producing with Greenway and Middlestat. So I think that just being on the third line, maybe playing against some lower quality opponents at times, and that line is clicking pretty good. I just think he could be one of those guys that in a month or two, his point totals creep up, and it's not like people are gonna be saying, "Oh, Zach Benson's winning it," but he won't be a non-factor. Like he won't
Yeah,
not be mentioned.
I I think this point is really interesting because I think it would really pick up if the coaches put him on the first power play and replaced Jeff Skinner with him and threw him in the bumper area, which we never use. If they change their power play and utilize Benson like in that way, I really think that he could start racking up the points because I think the power play would start clicking. As crazy as it is, I don't think the players left off on the power play. I think 5-on-5, yeah, they have their issues like individually as players, but power play structure is entirely coaching. So if they were to
Sure.
change that up and utilize him as a passer, he could definitely like accumulate some points.
Yeah, exactly. Even like secondary assists. I mean, they fucking hand those out like candy nowadays. So
I know. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that a lot because it's definitely like a thing that can happen if he like gets even a little hot. Even man, on pace for like what 40 points almost as an 18-year-old. I think that's pretty fucking good.
yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is like when I put this together, it's because I've listened to whatever hockey show it is over the last like couple weeks, and there's talks about the Calder Cup races, and the whole time I'm listening to these conversations between some of these experts, I'm like expecting Benson to come up at some point, and I know the point totals are low, and then I'm like, all right, I'm like, he's not there yet, but I'm like, I think he could be sneaky, just like a little dark horse to like start creeping up a little bit. So
It's because every time we watch him, we're like, how does this guy just doesn't make the wrong play?
yeah,
So like the points just got to come. It's really just down to points.
yeah, absolutely, because that's at the end of the day like all the national guys look at. So
For my for my last one, mine kind of ties into my first one. So Dylan Cousins in 2024 will show us that he still has that 70-point score potential that he had, that 30-goal score potential that he had last year. I look at I look at Dylan Cousins, and it's so weird that like Tim, in my opinion, a lot of fans will be like, oh, he's your two-way like big check like big center that can like play both ends of the rink. Dylan Cousins, in my opinion, like I don't think his defense will ever be good. I think I think he'll try, but Dylan Cousins' value is in his scoring, like
yeah,
his ability to go up and down the ice. Jack Quinn being back is going to help him so much. You can already see it. I feel like Cousins has been like much better recently with Quinn, and just that one guy in your line, like someone you trust. Like Paterka has been cooking like the whole season. He's kind of like slowed down a little bit, but you can't expect a kid to be playing like at a high level the entire year. But I really think that Cousins is gonna start racking up the goals here because he's getting chances. I thought I saw it like a little earlier this week, maybe it was last week, where Dylan Cousins has like one of the worst. Like there's a stat that measures like basically your luck,
Mm-hmm.
like how often you're shooting and like how not often you're scoring, and he is literally like one of the bottom players in that. Like he just can't put the puck in the net. Like he's getting his shots, he just can't score. So we'll see. We'll see on him. I think that his play has turned around like a little bit nicely here, and he's going to be another one of the key guys where like if they do start winning games, he'll be another guy to start to play with the potential he had last year.
Yeah, he's certainly not playing like as bad as he was to start the year. Like it was pretty ugly to start the
He was
season.
literally ass, like
Yeah,
ass.
just straight booty cheeks to begin the season. But like he definitely has picked it up, and what's funny about him is like I was hoping you were going to get to the point you just said about the puck luck, because I feel like he has hit like 4 or 5 posts and he's had some really close calls, and even where his stats are now, if you put even like 4 or 5 more goals in there, that or and even like a couple assists, just given the entire puck luck that the Sabres have had in general, like it's already somewhat better of a season. So yeah, I think he's not playing as bad now as like his lack of like counting stats say, for sure. And the fact that all those kids are playing together now is good. I mean, that kid line seems to just kind of, like you said, picked up right where it's left off. And I think that the difference between what you said about Paterka and Quinn, you mentioned Paterka, he's kind of cooled off, and I think it's because, and I'm interested to see what you think about this. It's like, but to me, like Paterka is more of like a sniper. Like he'll shoot, he'll like shoot a goal in. He's got a good shot. I don't feel like he just creates like a ton of like offense himself, or just finds
Yeah, no,
himself like around the
definitely.
net. So that's where you can get some regression. Like he might just be like that 20 goal scorer a year guy, 20 23, whatever it is, because he's just got a good shot. Whereas Quinn, he's like that. He's going to get those extra 10 or 15 goals a season because he just does, like, again, that hockey IQ, he can score in multiple ways, more ways than one. So I think there's where Quinn maybe has a potential to be maybe 38, 40 goals a season. I think Paterka might tap out around that 20 23, but it's because there's stylistic differences. But Cousins between that, I think, is so good. Like I love that line right there. I don't think they should touch it. And Cousins has definitely played better and looked better since they've been back together. So
Yeah, yeah. Your point on Paterka is a good one because I feel like Paterka is like our best player like off the rush, and then
yeah, oh
everything
yeah,
else is just like it's kind of like in development still.
yeah,
Whereas like Jack Quinn already is like he's good at everything, like like you said. So it is nice like you put that guy on with a Cousins who is a good off the rush player and is pretty good like in zone as well. I definitely feel like he's gonna start to cook a little bit here.
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna play this for you real quick.
Yeah. What do we got?
Little Chris Stapleton action there. That's what we're gonna be hearing a lot of the second half of the season. Little white
That probably
horse.
sounded so shitty on the audio.
It was either so loud, like people are pissed at me because it's 6 a.m. in the morning
Yeah,
right now,
you
or
just no, you just someone just crashed their car into the fucking median.
we'll see how it sounds on the playback. But you got to wake people up. The Sabres are putting everybody to sleep.
Awesome.
All right,
That was fun.
that's it?
I
That's
like the
all we got?
resolutions. Yeah, I like the resolutions. Let's move on here. We got a couple more segments.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we want to do. I got goofballs of the week coming up, and I got a couple that we can talk through quick. But
Just one
dude,
more, just one sentence on the Bills,
yep,
because I'm afraid to say anything right now. Like I'm terrified at what's going to happen this weekend. But I swear to God, guys, if you need to win against Miami on Sunday, please don't lose. Just don't. Like I can't deal with that non-Bills playoff, man. I can't. So, go Ravens, go Titans, and go Bills. But I really don't have much to add. Just like I'm begging them not to lose.
yeah. I don't know how to feel about it, honestly, because part of me feels that, like, if they know they have to win, that they're gonna lose. But if they're good, they're gonna win. I don't know. It's just, dude. It is crazy, man. Football's on another level with that, because it's just like, it's just one game. It's not and it's only, well, not one game, but it's a short season as opposed to like the Sabres where you have 82 games. You know, like it's not like every game is do or die. Like this is legit like do or die.
Dude, I literally feel like it's so appropriate for this Bills season to come down to like potentially either you're in and you're the fucking 2 seed and you're gonna host playoff games, or you're out.
All
Like
right,
it's
give me a prediction. What's gonna happen?
34-20 Bills.
Let's go. 34-20 you're rolling. Dude, that's probably pretty close to what I would predict too. I think the Bills are gonna win. Josh Allen is gonna.
We just kind of have Miami's number, and I know like 2-score games
Yeah.
are pretty like rare. I had this dream last night, and now you fucking triggered me that I remembered it. I had this dream last night that we were up big on Miami, like 21 zip at the half, and Mike McDaniel was like, "Fuck this, I'm benching everyone. Like we need to like preserve our health for the playoffs because they're playing Kansas City the next week."
Who said this?
Like I pictured Mike McDaniel as like, all right, I gotta like I can't risk Tua's health. Like we lost this one, like it's over. We gotta like let's go to Kansas City and try to win. I pictured that we were just fucking killing them in the first half, like 272 yards to like 42, and we were just murdering them, and they just give up. That's what I
Yeah,
pictured in
I
my
think
head.
it's gonna happen. I mean,
That's what I pictured.
they're our baby brother right now.
Now
So,
I'm saying this. Now I'm saying this, and we're gonna get shellacked.
well, real quick, I mean, because we don't have to talk too much about this, but the fact that it's at 8:30 is big because that Miami Heat isn't gonna be as much of a factor. Certainly the Sun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, other fans are like, oh, they had to schedule the game late because Bills fans were bitching about the Heat. Shut up, bitch. Shut up.
no, it's just because it was prime time.
Yeah, they want prime time. Let's go.
Dude,
We're gonna,
I told you. The
it's
NFL
the script.
could
It's the
not be
script.
more scripted. I told you this when they were 6-6. I said that this is on the podcast from weeks ago. I said the NFL there's no way they're not going to let Josh Allen in the playoffs. And look what's happened. We've won 4 in a row. We're going to win the AFC East. We're going to be the
Josh
2
Allen playing like
seed.
shit.
And let's go.
Playing like shit,
Exactly.
and we're still winning.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
ridiculous.
So you know what? All right. So we introduced this segment last week.
Well, hold on.
Okay. All right.
You asked me for a score prediction. What's your score prediction?
Oh yeah. So you said 34-20, huh?
Yep.
I will say. I'm gonna say 28-15.
Well, that's a weird ass score. That might be scoregami.
There we go. I think they'll win
All
by
right.
2 scores. I think they'll win by 2 scores, and I think it'll just be close for a little bit, and then. But I don't think we're going to be sweating it at the end of the game. Honestly, I think they'll put it or they'll have it in control by the end of the game. But I want to get into my goofballs of the week because one of them, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. One of them is football related, and it is none other than Mr. Brad Allen.
Oh man, what a joker! This joker.
So everyone's seen it by now, but this guy. So it's the Cowboys and the Lions game, and Brad Allen is the referee, and apparently there's all this video of this. I think it was Taylor Decker was his name, one of the Lions linemen coming in and literally going right up to him and reporting as eligible, and then he got flagged for being an ineligible man on the field. And then this guy doubled down in the press conference afterwards and said that he never reported as eligible. It's just kind of a crazy thing, and that goes to show you right there that there's some chicanery going on.
He said, and I think the other lineman that because the Lions sent Decker and another lineman up to the official, and to kind of fool the Cowboys, right? So Decker reports. The ref gets confused and says the other guy reports, and the other lineman, his name is escaping me who it was, literally in the press conference was like, I didn't say a fucking thing to the ref. So the ref just got it wrong, bro. Like what? And what a badass play to throw to a lineman, fat guy touchdown for the win. Like that would have been so sick, and they robbed it from us.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, how good is it to see the Lions doing good, just being a Bills fan, and how long we've sucked for. It's good to see them be good. But Brad Allen, he's my number one goofball. I got some other goofballs in here. Number two goofball of the week is going to be Jonas Johansson and the Tampa Bay Lightning for their debacle of a goal.
What?
Although I will
What
say,
was that? What was that?
so it's kind of like when you watch, I kind of can't blame them when you watch the playback because like they shoot it on net and the goalie like who are they playing? Oh, it's Montreal. So like
Montreal. I think it was Montembeau.
yeah, it was Montembeau. So like he like saves the puck and it's like literally like probably 4 seconds. Well, not four, probably like three whole seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like in a hockey game, like that is a long time. Like go by before any whistles blown or anything, and like Montembeau is just kind of like looking around. So he just and like the players all quit on the play. I mean, Johansson comes out, skates out of the net, and he like is over at the fans,
doing his like goalie thing, you know.
Yeah, doing his like Devin Levi, let's wave to the fans type thing because there's a timeout on the ice. But the ref never blew a whistle, so Montembeau just drops the puck and they fucking shoot it in the empty net.
So did you notice that? This was a Tampa Bay home game, okay? Did you notice that the in arena announcer like started playing like the between the whistle music?
Yeah, they started playing like
So
they started playing like Fifth Harmony.
Yeah, so thought the play was over.
I think it was like Fifth Harmony was like, "Baby, I'm worth it." I'm worth it. And then they're just icing the puck in the net.
And the puck's in the net. Like, dude, that was crazy. And, like, also hilarious. Like, I love crazy shit like that happens.
It was so funny. I've never seen anything like that. So they're goofballs. And then this guy.
You're going to go for 3 in a row before I can get one?
Oh, dude. Okay.
Fuck.
If you're listening to this show right now, play back last episode when we introduced this segment. Because I guarantee you said it was my week for goofballs, and then you brought goofballs this week too, and now I'm confused. But all right, go.
I'm bringing goofballs every week, buddy.
All right, do your goofball.
I got 3 actually. Now that you have 3, so my number one goofballs of the week are Canadian World Junior Hockey fans. Listen, the Canadian World Junior team lost.
We're going international now.
They lost to Czechia, and you know they didn't really have a good tournament. Like they kind of had, they were pretty bad. And for Canada, it's like expected for them like to win the whole thing every year, but they lost. If you are in the DMs of a 17-year-old kid telling him he should kill himself or that he shouldn't play hockey anymore, that he sucks, you are the biggest idiot on the planet. Like they're just kids. And it always seems to happen to like Canadian teams that like when they lose, it's like fans are in their DMs. Dude, they are children. Like
That's crazy.
You're really gonna yell at Macklin Celebrini because he didn't score against like Finland or Czechia. Like, relax, dude. They're kids. Like, they lost. It's okay. Like, relax. So
that reminds me of
Canada's my big goofball.
That reminds me of I don't know if I sent it to you, but Katie sent me this TikTok today, and it was like I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like this guy impersonating like fans of their sports teams and how like
yes, dude,
how over the top they go, and the one was so funny because it's kind of like this, and it was like a video of a player like, oh my god, you went to this organization and like donated your time and all this money, and people are like should be skating on the ice more,
should be practicing, not wasting this time.
That shit was so funny, and it was like the other one was like, "Oh, you cured this disease or something," and it was like, "Oh, you should cure our power play or something." That shit was so funny.
It's so absurd how fans can be like this kid Oliver Bonk on camp. Like he has like as a young player, like has been outspoken about his struggles with mental health. He had to deactivate his Twitter because people were in his DMs. Like, dude, isn't that fucked up?
That is messed up, man. Real messed up. But it goes to show you like what people say. I mean, we come on here once a week and like it's not like we're always saying like positive things about the Sabres, but like we're not taking it to that level. Like we would never ever do that. DMs. Yeah, no. But even saying those types of things is just not right because I mean,
it's no. If I saw like we've been ripping on like Matthias Samuelsson's play, but if I saw him, I'd dap him up and be like, hey, dude, like, I hope you improve your play. Like,
he'd be like, fuck you, you talk shit about me every week.
But yeah, at least I wasn't telling him I hope his fucking house gets burned down or some shit. But like,
yeah, no,
you know
exactly.
How fucked up people are? I got another goofball of the week. This isn't nearly as bad. This isn't nearly as bad. My second goofball of the week is Jalen Milroe, the quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. The literally the Alabama is in overtime against Michigan. It's fourth down. They need a touchdown to tie the game. The guy catches the snap and goes forward for a QB draw. 0 yards, game's over. Come on, man. You can't be doing that, like with the game on the line like that. So big goofball to you. Not nearly as crazy as my first goofball, but hey, that play disgusted me.
Is that it for your goofballs?
I got one more, and it's you. My
Oh,
big
God.
goofball of the whole 2023 and 2024 is this guy. Our fantasy league. This guy will go 3-0 in his first 3 weeks, and then proceed to lose every single game for the rest of the year. And this has happened, I think, 3 or 4 years in a row, where you're like talking a bunch of shit in the group chat that you're 4-5-0, and then you just tank and lose the rest of the games. So
Did I lose out?
you literally you were
There's no
3-11.
way. I had one win in there. There's no way if I did. I didn't even realize that. If that's a real fact, I have to look this up right now because I will be so disappointed.
Just keep running our league, you fucking goof.
What was I? Oh my god, I was 3-11.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, my team wasn't even bad. I say that every year too. All right, well, dude, oh my god, I can't believe that. That's insane. Well, you know what? I'm going to get into my third goofball, and I'm double goofballing me because I'm also my own goofball for this week, and I'm going to tell you why. So, I thought about whether this should be something we say in the intro or if this should be a goofball, and I'm since this is a new segment, I'm putting the goofball. But all right, so Katie got this new rug in our kitchen. It's like a runner. It's like a longer rug. You know, it's right in front. So it's between my island, my kitchen island, and my sink. And for the listeners who haven't, of course, been over to my house, those are like I have a decent sized kitchen, but those two are still somewhat close, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pumped because I get home yesterday and I've been marinating chicken, right? I'm about to throw this lemon garlic chicken on the grill. It's like,
no.
oh, it's been marinated, it's juicy. I get the bowl of marinated chicken out of the fridge, and oh, this is the shit that pisses me off too. I get so mad. I'm walking around my island, and wouldn't you know it, the bowl just nicks the corner of the island, which bumps it into my stomach, and down goes the chicken onto the floor, onto the new rug, and it is just lemon garlic everywhere. it was it was a complete shit show. So right away, my dog is a spaz. So she comes over right away and she's trying to, like, I got 3 big chickens. She's trying to hawk these down as fast as she can. She's trying to lick up all the lemon garlic seasoning and shit.
Was Katie home for this?
No, Katie was gone.
Oh my god.
So I got home from work. She left because she was like, I want to get out of the house for an hour. I got run a couple errands. I'm like, all right, whatever. So she wasn't home. So I'm here. I'm on my knees and I got paper towels and I'm trying to like squeegee this lemon garlic out of the fucking rug. And it's like which was actually probably good for me. It's not like a real like firm rug. It's kind of like a furry rug, which feels amazing on the feet. Oh, my feet fingers just feel amazing on this rug. I got you. So I'm squeegeeing this, and I get as much as I can off, and it looks like not terribly stained. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw this in my wine washer because I need to wash it. And I'm like, okay, it's not like a super big rug. It can probably go in my washer, but in my panicked, anxiety-filled state, I didn't put the rug in the washer like in a nice arrangement. I kind of just threw it in there.
Oh my god.
So I go down to the basement because I have a bathroom in my basement. So I go in my basement probably like 15 minutes later. I'm not even kidding you, dude. I thought my grill was fucking exploding, and with the chicken in the backyard, the noise my washing machine was making from this rug in there was
It's
so
just
loud,
like it's it's
dude.
like I can picture like a cartoon just like jumping on both sides.
Dude, I was peeing. I stopped mid pee because I thought my house was blowing up. So I
Oh
just
my
like
god.
I ran upstairs, and then I saw my washing machine freaking out on my way up. So I went over there, and I canceled it, and then like like whatever, like 10 minutes later, I came down when it was unlocked and like redid it and then washed it, and I think it's good. I feel like I still smell a little chicken on it, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty good for the most part. I might just have to throw it in the dryer with like once it's all dry, like with a dryer sheet for 10 minutes to
Dude,
like get it all out. But
I
this
can
was a
just imagine
goofball moment.
I can just imagine you like describing what happened to Katie, and that's just so funny in my head.
It was a disaster, dude. It was just I was so aggravated because I mean we talked about on one of our very first shows when we did our pet peeves. Like my biggest
Oh
pet peeve
yeah.
is when like simple shit just like goes wrong, and this was like the epitome of that. I was just like
Yep.
I was so aggravated, but the chicken was good. I'm not gonna lie.
That,
I
that
grilled that chicken up and it was still good.
that's fucking hilarious.
All right, I think that's. I have one more goofball, but I'm
Save
gonna
it for
hang
next
on.
week.
I'm gonna save it for next week because this guy could
Okay.
be. I can't stand this guy, and he could be a
Oh,
goofball
okay,
every
yeah,
week.
save it.
So
Save it.
you already
Save it.
know.
Save it.
You probably already know. But
Oh, I do. This guy's a goofball.
all right.
Like prime goofball, like number 2 or 3 in public figures.
Oh my God, he is an absolute clown. But
But all right, that's funny.
all right, we're closing in on our hour and a half. It's so funny. We said we were gonna keep this to like 45 minutes again
I
today.
know.
It never
I'm
fucking
like, I
happens.
texted you earlier. I'm like, yeah, I'm exhausted. Like, let's keep it short, and it's an hour and 20 minutes later.
But I do want to touch on the Amerks, and I
All
think
right.
we were talking earlier. This is a resolution for our podcast in 2024. I'm big into the Amerks. I like paying attention to the prospects and stuff. So I want to try and for this new year really just kind of get into the weeds a little bit more with what's going on with the Amerks, and a part of that's because I think that's our only chance at playoff hockey this year. And that was a fun run last year that they went on. And it's just so shitty that it had to be ruined by the chocolate and white. But anyways,
Chocolate and wine.
fucking chocolate town. But Amerks are so at the turn of the new year, they're 14, 12, and 3. So they're sitting at 31 points, which really isn't great. They had a hot start to the season. That's where a lot of those points came from. I think they had like their best start in franchise history, or tied for one of their best starts through like 10 games. But they've really cooled off lately. Not all their fault. The Sabres have obviously been banged up, so they've been calling up some players. Kulik's at the World Juniors right now. They've had injuries themselves. They've been banged up, so they've been going through a lot. They're in a good spot right now. Yost is down there, and he's scored in back-to-back games. I don't know if he's going to stay down there too long. Who knows? But they got Comrie down there, Bryson Stillman. So they got some players down there that I think they'll be okay once they get everything back. But they're currently sitting in 21st overall in the standings, which is fifth in the North Division. So that's actually not great. There's 7 teams in the division, and that's 12th in the Eastern Conference. So the AHL is a little funky in that there's 15 teams in the Eastern Conference and 17 teams in the Western Conference. Like the standings are a little bit funky. I want to say it's because you might know this better than me, but doesn't like Carolina like not have a
Yeah, they don't have a team.
yeah. So
They don't
I
have. They don't have one. Their team. They lost their team, and then the Chicago Wolves, who were affiliated with them last year, they went independent. So Carolina literally doesn't have an AHL team, and Chicago like moved to the West.
so what do their prospects do? Where do their prospects play? Just like in international
All
leagues
over.
or like Western
Like
League or whatever?
they can't go to the Western League if they're too old. Like if they're like 21, they can't go to like the junior leagues.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
they've been like, loaning guys like overseas to like the Finnish league and the Swedish league, and loaning them to other AHL teams. Actually, like here, take my player. Like
They're like a fucking hockey soccer
it's
club.
insane. It's insane, man. Yeah, basically, I always thought loans in the NHL would be kind of nasty. Like,
It would be kind of interesting.
like, could we loan Tage to the Oilers for a playoff run? And like, they give us like a pick. Wouldn't that be fucking sweet?
It would be crazy. But then you're risking injury and all that stuff. You know,
I
I
don't
get where
care.
these
It'd be
franchises
awesome.
wouldn't want to do that.
It'd be sweet.
It would be
But
cool. It would be
yeah.
cool.
So, dude, the Amerks, man, like the number one problem with the Amerks is that like they're so banged up that they have like defensemen playing forward and shit. It's been insane. Like Zach
Yeah.
Metza has been playing center, like, and they've been calling guys up from the EHL, the ECHL at will, and they lost their number one defenseman and well, close to number one defenseman in Ryan Johnson because he's one of our three best defensemen on the Sabres.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
imagine that guy in the AHL, like he'd be dominating. So it's just been tough for them because they've been so injured, and I hope Eric Comrie goes down there and stabilizes the net because their goalies have been like so goddamn bad that it's just like they need saves.
Yeah, they need to get saves, and it is funny about Johnson because I mean we subscribe to HLTV because we like to watch the Amherst games when we can when they're not running concurrently with the Sabres, and I was excited to watch him down in Rochester for the year, and but he's been up with the big club because he's
Yeah,
been so damn
he's
good,
good.
and we've needed him, so which is a good thing, but yeah, he was a player that they were probably thinking was going to be down there for the year. Uh, but yeah, so they're getting decent production offensively, but they're just struggling defensively and letting in the goals. But real quick, just to kind of review, I want to go over just some of the top point getters for the season so far. So if we look at the regular season so far this year, Kulik, of course, is number one. So he's got 16 goals, 6 assists, and that's good for 22 points in 23 games. So he's their number one point getter. And then his line mate, typically when he's there, is Rosine, and he's got 22 points as well. So they're kind of the top two guys. You got Rusek with 19, Byro with 18, and then Michael Mersch with 17 points. I wonder how old is Mersch? He's a
Like in
little
his
older, right?
mid 20s, 27, 28, 20, like late mid to late 20s. Hey, shout out Michael Mersch too, Jeff Merrick, who works for Sportsnet. He's been around the game for like a long ass time. Like does the podcast 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman. And Sidney Crosby scored a goal that Michael Mersch scores all the time, where he like will drive the net and like choke up on his stick like crazy and like get real small and like basically like body block the puck into the net. It's pretty sweet when he does it. And Mike and Jeff Merrick like shouted out Michael Mersch and was like, "Hey, like you may have seen this Crosby goal, but like this guy does it all the time." And I thought that was really cool. That
Yeah,
was really
that's
cool for
cool.
him to shout him out like that. Like a guy, it just goes to show that like a guy that probably will never ever ever sniff a game in the NHL is still really fucking good at hockey.
Yeah, he's been doing it. That's why I asked how old he is because I don't think he's like realistically like a maybe like an NHL prospect,
No,
but
not at all.
um,
No, he's like older.
yeah. But it's like his like that like play that you're describing kind of reminds me of like the Happy Gilmore like putter grip like on the hockey stick, just like down low and like all focused and stuff. But so those are the top guys, and again the goal is hopefully for the new year to kind of get into the weeds a little bit more with the Amherst. I think sometimes we skip over them, but I do want to focus on the Amherst a little bit more because these kids have been coming up and playing with us, and who knows what's going to happen as the year goes on. But one last thing on the Amherst here. So they have a home and home coming up with the Cleveland Monsters. And the Cleveland Monsters, I mean, they've been just absolutely dummying the AHL. So they're currently in first in the North with 45 points. I mean, it's pretty much them and Hershey who are like the top two teams in the AHL right now, and they're just dominating people. And also, like Cleveland has like a sweet broadcast. Like when they play there, like it's like a cool broadcast. They do a lot of shit. So I kind of like watching the away game feeds when they play the Cleveland Monsters, and then the Roch feeds are obviously great because you get Don Stevens and whatnot, which was hilarious when the other day when he was calling the. So I almost put him in the goofball segment. Then I'm like, no, it's Don Stevens. I can't put him in the goofball segment. Like he's not a goofball. But it was funny when the Amherst won in overtime in their last game, and I'm watching it live, and I forget who it was on the
It was in a
first.
shootout, right? It was in a
Yeah,
shootout.
it was a shootout, and I can't remember who the shooter was. It was I want to say it was maybe Wiesbach who took the first penalty shot or shootout attempt, and like it was kind of hard to see, but like clearly like the puck goes in the net and just kind of bounced out real quick, and Don Stevens is like, oh, like he missed like 0 for 1, and I'm like, wait, Don. I'm like, no, he scored. So that it was so funny because when the shootout ended up being 1-0, and then in favor of the Amherst. So then the other team, I forget who they were playing, but they were taking their last shot and they scored. And so Don Stevens was like, "Oh, that's the game. It's like game over," not knowing that it was tied. And then like the Amherst next shooter comes out and Don goes, "Wait a second, what's going on here?" He's like, "Oh, hold on, I don't know what's going on, but it looks like the game's not over yet." It was just so funny because the whole time I told you, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this guy is like not gonna know what's going on, and he's gonna find out eventually, just be so confused, and that's exactly what happened. It was so funny.
That's amazing.
So yeah, definitely not a goofball because Don Stevens is a legend, and I love listening to him on the Amherst games. But that's pretty much all the Amherst talk I got here. Unless you got anything else for me.
So I got nothing else on the Amherst, but people are probably going to hear this before. But so tomorrow, it's the semifinals for the World Junior Hockey Championship. And so Sweden and our sweet boys, Noah Osland and Anton Wahlberg, are going up against our other sweet son, Yuri Kulich in Czechia at 9 a.m. So one of those two teams, Sweden or Czechia, is going to make the final. And then, our USA boys are taking on Finland at 1:30. So I'm excited to not really work a whole lot tomorrow and just sit in my vehicle and watch those games. So, it sucks that one of our some of our property is going to go home tomorrow and be sad. But hey, that means maybe Czechia gets to the finals for 2 years in a row. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I wish I could watch those games because I'm off tomorrow, but I don't have a good way to watch it. But I'll follow on Twitter and whatnot and see what's going on. But yeah, how cool would it be to like get like a USA like Czechia final, right?
Yeah,
Can that happen?
Sweden. I mean, yeah, because USA plays Finland tomorrow and Czechia plays
okay.
Yeah, USA
They're on opposite sides.
Czechia plays, yeah.
Okay.
So
cool. Yeah, I mean that'd be dope.
Either way, I think the U.S. gets in. I think the U.S. gets in, and I think the U.S. is the best team. They were probably the best team for the tournament too. Like they're so nasty, dude. They're so much fun. They're so fast. They're big. They're skilled. A lot of guys coming up for the U.S. and it's very exciting.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, predictions here for the next week. So before we talk next week, we'll have games Thursday in Montreal, Saturday in Pittsburgh, and then Tuesday at home against Seattle. So, what's your thoughts? What are we going to be talking about next week here on the podcast? It'll be another Wednesday podcast next week. So,
I think we're going to be sad, and I think we're going to go 1-2.
1-2.
Not even push it to overtime. 2 regulation losses.
So all right? So they lost their last game. So if they keep doing their usual trajectory, they'll go win, loss, win. So that'd be 2-1.
Can I bring this up real quick? So
yeah.
I was actually looking at our record compared to like just teams around the league. So the Sabres have 19 regulation losses.
Yeah.
So they have 34 points. A team like where are they? Come on. Where is this team? The Islanders have only 17 wins compared to our 15 wins, but they have 10 more points because they only have 10 regulation losses and 10 overtime losses. So
I know. I saw that they had 10 overtime. Like, that's like more than a lot of teams get a season.
It's not a fucking wins league. It's a points league, man. Just get points.
I know, yeah, but the tough thing about that now is like with the whole.
I know, it's not anymore. I know.
I know.
A team like the Islanders, man, they're losing, but they're accumulated. They accumulated 10 more points than us because of these overtime losses.
I know, like last season, I would have been like so happy with more points because they were in just like a different situation. But now, like with this hole that they like this Stanley Yelnats hole that they've just dug themselves in, I'm like, oh my god! Like I always need 2 points. Like I legit, like I said, I need 8-0 in these next 8 games for me to be dumb enough to jump back into the bandwagon. So
what's your prediction then if you need 8-0? What's your prediction for the next 3?
Prediction at the next 3. I'm gonna say 1-2. I'm gonna guess that we lose to. I'm gonna guess that we lose to Pittsburgh and Seattle, and that we beat Montreal. That's my prediction. I'll say 1-2.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just preparing to be disappointed.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But all right, anything else, Ryan? That's gonna do it.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pop to sign off. I'm good to go.
We went over today. We went a little, like 4 minutes
I
over
know.
today. So,
Absolutely insane. Upon request, it was not met. So
dude, imagine like I think about when they're actually playing good and we're like excited to like talk about them
oh
each week. We're gonna
yeah,
have like
we're
fucking
sucking off.
5 hour shows.
We're sucking off every player. Don Granato's the best coach in the world. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna be insane.
All right, folks. Well, that's gonna do it for today. As always, you know what to do. Check us out on or subscribe if you're listening to Apple, Spotify. Make sure you're getting notified of when the shows come out. We do have everything uploaded on YouTube now as well. We try and get that up as quick as possible as we can. But review the show, share it with your friends, spread the word. That's always good, always fun. And of course, follow us on Twitter on the show handle at Sabres Spotlight. And Ryan, go ahead, plug yours.
At RMC1492.
And then in the show notes, you'll see information for email address. If you guys have any questions, any feedback for me, if you have complaints about how loud that White Horse song was in your phone earlier, then just send them right there or just on Twitter.
That might lose us listeners.
Well, you know what? Like, we haven't heard it in the stadium, so I'm just trying to give people like, hey, if you haven't heard the song because Cousins hasn't fucking scored this year, then this is what it sounds like. There you go. All right, folks, but that's it for today. We will see you again next Wednesday, and hopefully we're happy, but we'll see where we're at. But later.
Peace.